Next point. So Joe Biden has been signing these executive orders, and this is the graph. That's actually the first 2 days. So you've got George W. Bush. He waited till like maybe day 10 before he signed his first few executive orders, and then you've got Barack Obama who waited a day or so before he signed his executive orders, and there's Trump. And then you got Biden in the first couple of days signs 40 executive orders, more than any president in their first 100 days, and he just shoots right up. It almost looks like
they want to get him before his brain melts completely.
Yeah, he's making up for lost time. They want to get him before Kamala Harris knifes him in the back. So I just wanted to point that out, and at the speed of which they're doing it. This doesn't seem like unity. Also, FYI, California, they're nearing their goal of 1.5 million signatures they need. I think they're about 1.3 now as of filming this. I hope they get it. I hope they recall Gavin Newsom, and A1 has this policy that they're working on as well.
I love recall elections. This is brilliant. Newsom, I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks back. He's the governor whose COVID lockdowns were so extreme that people actually said, okay, that's enough. And this is California. This is left of left.
Yeah.
And so, and the gossip was saying, like, when it gets close to 1.5, he'll ease up. He did. Yeah. But this is the beauty of it, folks. This is recall elections. This is what we want to introduce to Australia. Your state MP, your federal MP, everybody has to be responsive to you 24/7, 365, because if enough people decide that they're sacked.
Yeah.
And you watch them respond to you rather than the money and the lobbyists and the party machine.
Yeah, they should be responsive to votes, right? Not money. That's what we want. Anyway, notable mention, Native American tribe, they called on Joe Biden's drilling freeze, a direct attack on their sovereignty, which is a great way to weaponize some of the leftist attacks back on them. And this is a question actually from a follower of the show. He said, Joel Jammal, can you please ask Riccardo Bosi about this flag? It's supposed to be the Australian national flag. The blue flag is the apparent government flag. What is this flag? We see it flown all the time at rallies, this red flag.
Yeah, the flag has the development of the flag, and you notice the actual stars even are slightly different. The development flag over the first, I think, 10, 20 years of the Australian Federation, it changed for a number of reasons. There are some that claim that this is the only lawful Australian flag, that the blue ensign is actually under maritime law. There's a whole history there, and a lot of people get wrapped around the axles about it. And it's worth pursuing in detail at some other point. But the point is this. People say to me, you should run the red flag because that's the legitimate flag. And I politely say, look, even if it is the legitimate flag, there are 25 million Australians that don't recognise it as the legitimate flag. They recognise the blue one. So you're dealing with reality and perception. And you've got to understand that you've got to drag people with you. Look, in the future, I dare say we're going to have a different flag altogether because, and this speaks to, I've spoken on behalf of the Australians for constitutional monarchy because that stability is important. We've spoken about that before. But it's going to be abundantly clear that this constitutional convention that we require, because people are now learning that our constitution protects virtually nobody and that much of what the state premiers are doing is not unlawful, and that's just terrifying. And the Australian people will decide we need a constitutional convention. We may even become a republic, maybe. But we've got to do it intelligently. As I've said before, we don't want to lose the history of our jurisprudence, for one thing. It goes all the way back to Magna Carta. It really does. And we draw on this. So if we just cut off the constitutional monarchy and change the flag and put up a republic, we've got to be very careful about how we do this. That's why I said, once again, Professor David Flint, Emeritus Professor of Law, is any man in the country with not just the technical skills, but the character to actually lead a constitutional convention. The man is straight as an arrow.
Oh yeah.
So the flag, is that the real flag or the wrong flag? It doesn't matter. Right now, people recognise the blue flag, but there's a bigger game at stake. It's what it represents, and what it represents is the will of the people. And we need a constitutional convention to determine how we wish to be governed, and then a part of that may include a revision of the Australian flag. And again, I have an opinion on what the flag should and shouldn't be, but it doesn't matter what my opinion is. What matters is what the people believe.
Yeah.
See, unlike Slow-Mo, who changed the words to the Constitution, well, thanks, Slow-Mo. And whether you're legally entitled to do so is not the point. You're an imbecile. You're a fool. Put it to the people. Let the people decide. Same with the flag. Let the people decide. If they want a red one, have a red one. They want a blue one, have a blue one. They want a completely new one, that's fine too. But let's have a legitimate discussion on what it represents. The flag itself is interesting, but what it represents is far more important. And this constitutional convention, this new constitution for Australia, which is foundational, it is more important than just about every other any other issue we must deal with.
Yeah.
And there are some bloody important ones.
Yeah.
But unless we get this right, we nail down that the people are sovereign, and all sovereignty is derived from every Australian citizen.
Yeah.
That's the point that must be made. And once again, it doesn't matter if you're a Prime Minister from Point Piper or a prostitute from Emerald, you are equal.
Yeah.
And equal sovereignty derives from both of you. And that's what we've got to nail down. Once we get that foundational document down, everything else is achievable. If we don't do that, the rest is just sugarcoating mud.
Last question. So you mentioned no candidates for WA.
No candidates for WA.
And you've detailed the reasons. So what's happening with the national tour then? Are we going to
Okay, so what happened was we were looking at candidates for WA state election coming up in March, and that would have knocked March out of the way, February and March, because we would have had to get into WA to do some heavy duty campaigning. Unfortunately, the candidates fell through. As I said, some good ones, some not so good ones, doesn't matter. We're now not contesting the WA state election simply because the people didn't want to. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So that's now freed up the month of March for us. We've had some realigning to do on the eastern seaboard. The Victorian tour now will be in March, which is great. So we're using the rest of February to prepare for that. And so we'll do the Vic tour in March. We'll have all the tours done by about May. And then we launch very enthusiastically for the election coming in October, November. So that's the outline plan for the next 12 months. So March, Victoria, then we're going to do WA, NT, SA and Tas, knock it all over by about May, and then we're still doing the foundational work for the election. We're working very hard on that right now.
Yeah.
A lot of work being done behind the scenes. And then, but we start getting a bit public from about June onwards, I say. But understand this, and there's a lot of frustration out there with the A1 people because they want to see results. Now, folks, you've got to understand this. And Joel, as a builder, will know this. The deeper the foundation, the taller the building you can put into that hole. And if the foundation is shallow, you are literally limited to the height that the building can be, unless you start throwing buttresses up, and that's expensive. If you dig a deep foundation, in fact, a good architect can look at the depth of foundation and tell you exactly how many stories you can put on that foundation. So a lot of the work we're doing is that subterranean work. There's a lot of hard work going down at the bottom level. There is still work for A1 members to do, not members, supporters, because we have no members yet because the party's not formally up. So everyone's just a supporter. But there's still plenty of work to do.
Yeah.
And I've said it 100,000 times and I'll say it again. Letterbox drop. Raise awareness. Step one. They know, like, trust, but know first. So it's just print out some docs, run it past your state coordinator and make sure it's okay. It's consistent with our branding, the right colours, the right font, the right message. Print it out on your home printer and start letterboxing your electorate.
Yeah.
Raise awareness first. People want to protest. People want to do this. Great. It means nothing. Once again, for the last time, if we have a protest and 1,000 people turn up, we have a problem. If 10,000 turn up, the police have a problem. If 100,000 people turn up, the police have got a problem. If 1 million turn up, we win. And we need to get to that 1 million. It means so even the corrupted media can't lie.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Guys, this actually concludes the first half of the show. Because there's, as I said at the start of the show, there's 4 topics we can't cover. That's the January 6th storming of the Capitol. That's election fraud. That's the Q conspiracy theories, and it's also who won the US election. We can't discuss those things. So a lot of those things we're going to talk about, and sorry, one of the ones was we can't talk about vaccines and all of that. We can't talk about that stuff, so we're going to have to take it to Subscribestar. So click the link in the bio if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, go to YouTube and then click the link in the bio for Subscribestar. And the whole show will be there. I've reduced the rate to allow you guys to watch it for just a cup of coffee a month, which is nothing because there'll be an hour every week of additional content you won't see anywhere else. But we'll be continuing this conversation over there for another hour. Next week, we will be doing questions for you guys to allow you guys to get a bit of access. I know a lot of people are very frustrated they can't get to Riccardo. Well, that'll be your chance. So make sure you're ready for that. It'll probably be Thursday next week. And who knows, maybe we'll have a special guest.
Look, don't complain because my kids say, Dad, can we have a politics-free day, please. So you're not the only ones fighting for my attention. I tell you what, the kids they're missing out too. So we're doing our best.
What do you say to the kids? No, it's not.
Oh no, I just drop the pen and do whatever I've got to do.
Yeah,
we found a caterpillar on the kitchen floor because we grow tomatoes in the back garden. And this is a tomato caterpillar.
Yeah,
and so we did it because we homeschool. We stopped everything, and this became an opportunity for us to examine the life cycle of the caterpillar.
Yeah,
to the pupa, to the moth, and all that sort of stuff. So we take the opportunities as we can take them.
Yeah, awesome, cool. All right, well, guys, homeschooling might be the way to go. I mean, Riccardo was telling me a story about one time you were teaching the girls about the chemical, what was it, the periodic table and the different elements on it. Maybe it might be something you have to investigate if you have kids. But Rick, we'll be back for a second hour. For those of you, go to Subscribe Star and we'll go from there.